Hi. Um, so I just watched a video that was about confidence, and I felt like recording something because it kind of occurred to me in watching this, like why why am I confident these days? And it might be something that is a little bit confusing for people because I've been sharing a lot about like the stuff going on. And I'm not going to get into stuff like that because that's not what this is about. Like, I have had some drama and things in my life, and the thing is like ultimately, I do just want people to realize like I have no ill intentions ever. I'm never actually like I like to play games, but like in the whole truth is like I never actually like to play games. I'm sitting here with the Wild Thing shirt that I got. I got this during the 2016 Cleveland Indians World Series. I was they were up. I think they were up 3-2 in that series. And so I love the movie. I love the scene. Rick Vaughn, Charlie Sheen. So that's a good way to segue into confidence, because and I'm going to try to make this not a long video, but it occurred to me because it might be a question: how did I become so confident? Um, and I don't really have really anything. Like I have like no money, and I don't have it. And I won't go into because people can post stuff. Um, trust me, I have things going on in my life that are kind of unique to my situation. Um, that like I wouldn't encourage a lot of people doing what I've done, but it's because I have been confident in what I know and what I do and what I study that I've been able to remain on a path that is very unusual. I posted some stuff about Casey Neistat, and I'm a big Casey Neistat fan. And there was a lot. I was watching some videos that he made earlier today on motivation and things like, going and having courage and fortitude and things, and going after the thing that you really want to do in life. And these are things that like I've been watching videos of his for a while, and it's just on one level, it's like confidence really is that it is if you have something you want to do, spend your days doing it. That is like confidence simply, and it's confidence for pretty much for anyone. And anything that I say is stuff that is just people are what we experience, and but that brings me to the other part of why and how and why am I confident? And it's just experiencing a lot. I have since high school experienced a lot of different stuff. I have experienced life, the highs, lows, in almost every way you can imagine. Um, it's funny, and a lot of like my life is just there's so much irony that's in my life. Like, um, I was in college, I guess my second or third year, and I dropped out of a script writing class. And the irony is now I want to be in a script writing class because I have a lot of ideas that I want to write. But I remember I dropped out of that class because it was a lot of like you have to, write every day and read 2 scripts a week, and it was a lot of stuff that at the time I'm just like I just don't want to do this. I don't feel confident that I'll be able to do that like every day and every week. But I remember the teacher of that class saying, you have to write every day to be a good script writer. And he said, don't be surprised if what you write isn't good because you haven't experienced a lot. Um, and it's funny just how between then and now, I have experienced everything. The good, the bad, the famous, the days I wanted to like I was considering suicide. And the question is like, was I really doing so? Um, and the answer is I gave myself the opportunity to. I don't think I ever really considered it, but it was close enough that like I gave myself like the real opportunity to. But what turned things around was, and this is like the truth of my story, is I have listened to my mentors. I have listened to people. I have listened to my coaches. I've listened to my mentors. I have listened to people ahead of me that gave me advice. And that advice at different points of my life, when I have lost confidence, when I have lost touch with who I am, when I have not been doing the things, had healthy habits, that time spent listening to people who were giving me quality advice and being able to listen for quality advice versus not quality advice, knowing how to decipher the two. When things were when the chips were down, a lot of the time those people were who was in my head, like, and I'm not going to name names. I was a journalist for years, and I've said that, but what that really means is that you know, my basis in storytelling from the time I was at Valdosta was to, know how to like basically like learn that like journalism and that kind of stuff is it's not just sharing and telling you revealing information. It is protecting. Um, it is about protecting reputations. That is always what a journalist is a good journalist is doing, is protecting reputations. Because with all the things going on, like it's to me it's just a bunch of the drama and stuff in my life. It's like, to me, it's still at the end of the day just you know so just funny that like I can see like I can now look at like people's actions and be like, this is going to happen in down the road because these are your actions. And it's like that's how I'm able to kind of like see this stuff now, that like I like to say like I'm professional at something, I just don't really know what it is. But like storytelling or writing or just like looking at trends and being like, this is based on this, that you're headed for like this result. Just because like that's just what experience is. um, but like when the chips are down, I mean, I've wrote to the guy who told me this, but he pulled me aside about a year and a half before this, like this really low point in my life happened. And when the chips were down, it was like his message to me was what was, I don't know if that's what got me off the ground, but that's what was in my head, saying like, don't quit, like you know don't quit on don't quit on yourself. It's like that he was in a situation similar to you. He sat down with you and gave you a message, and it's like, keep going. Because and that's also a message in confidence, to say like, a lot of the times we learn from like people who are confident, and are people who, they have also, I mean, they basically have also gone through the stages of just like, they have had, it's the, but it's all, but that's just what it is. It's like, it's all this stuff that we see in movies and stuff. The like, as in like Rocky, like, it's not how many times you get hit, it's how many times you can, get back up. It's it's never why is this happening to me? It just is happening. Like, I've been talking about like the trip, and that was a year ago, of going to Austin, for like this friend that I had in college. And she's important to me because she was one of the first people in my life who just was, confident. Like, she was just confident all the time. And people who have met her know who I'm talking about. If she sees this, she knows who she is. And that's where I was like a year ago, trying to, because there was just a realization, after, and it's like we had some drama in our lives and things went sideways, and we didn't talk for a while. But like it was like that realization where you realize after 10 years, and after a few years later, you just kind of realize like the more I got confident in myself, and the more that like I listened to people down the line, the way I felt about myself was similar to how I felt when I was around this person. And so it just eventually hit me that like that this person was a very like you know it was just that's I didn't it's interesting that you might not be able to recognize what something is when you feel it, but then later down the road you feel something very similar and you're like, that's what this person was. They gave me a sense of confidence, that like you know that, and it's important for me. And that's like a year ago. I was actually feeling really confident a year ago, and ready to like start doing my own things. But I just and it was just like one night I made a list of like people who were really important in my life, and it's like she was at the top, and that was kind of why I did all this. I did all this thing a year ago, just like it was all just like a respect kind of thing. Um, but I mean, even before then, again, still not naming names, but in high school, the guy that ended up becoming like my closest high school friend, was the guy everyone was saying don't hang out with him, like he's a jerk, like he's an asshole, this and that. But I mean, he played baseball, and I was a baseball kid growing up. My family was baseball, and I mean he knows who he is, but um, he was the one from our class that ended up getting drafted and playing 6, 7 years of like professional sports. And it's like I've played basketball with him, going back to like 10th grade. And he's still to this day the guy that like I've gotten way better, and it's like I'm almost like to the point that I even like want to play semi-pro basketball. And it's like he's the one person that like he just knows me. He knows me, I know him, like we like it. And it's just you know and it just adheres to like that like lesson that you hear a lot, that if you it's I mean it's like if Casey Neistat says like, if you're doing things like everyone else's, you're doing them wrong. And I've had that voice in my head, since I was just in high school, that said like, stick with what kind of it's I think at times we see confidence and we get nervous because someone is more confident than we are at something. And what happens is people are nervous to keep going. Um, but the truth about confidence is, confidence, we should recognize that confidence is someone reaching a level that they are sure of. It's like, and that's why confidence is kind of scary to people who aren't confident. But we should recognize that when we find that like level of fear, that someone has learned this, that they are not actually, they they have gotten there because they have fears too. And every person that I know who is a confident person is someone that I have also had deep conversations with. And it's usually I'm like the one that ends up having that conversation, and no other person does. But with every single one of these people, I have a the guy from KSU, the girl from VSU, the guy from high school, all of them I have had like in-depth one-on-one conversations with them, that maybe other that not a lot of people knew. because they were comfortable having those conversations. And it's like that's the thing about confidence is it's actually it's actually people who have kept going because everyone's fighting their own personal fight. Everyone has their own personal fight, and that's why confident people are who we should be learning from. And in the case of the girl and the guy, what's occurred to me recently is both of them had backgrounds of leadership or backgrounds of so the girl that I know, her family was military, and so she was, for me, the most like organized, put together. She was the most, she was, I like to say, she was 35 years old when she was 19. um, she was just very had things. She just did the little things really in a way that, like, I don't like, that you don't see until, like, beyond college. And then the guy that I knew, like, his, I'm not trying to, like, but his brother is a lot older than him, and also played baseball with a guy that ended up going on to play in the major leagues. And it's like the two things that both of them had, and these are the two most confident people that I met until the boss I worked for, and then the other boss. It's like they had a view of life that a lot of kids don't have, and so that's the reason I stuck with them. And, like, when the chips were down for me, a lot of the time it was these people, it was these voices I had in my head, because every time I was around them, like, they might have been challenging for other people and they might have been a little bit abrasive, but there was one thing, is that they were always reliable. Like, they were all their word was always trustworthy. They were always doing what they said that they would do. And it's like they stuck true to their word. And that was before I became a journalist. And that was before I became, someone that, like, kept going and kept doing that kind of stuff. And then I just got really sucked into, like, a lot of, like, the, if you have, like, a vision, you keep working at it. And, like, I've been up and I've been way down. 2020 was bad for everyone, but it was really bad for me because, like, I was starting to really put things together right before literally the week of COVID that happened. I had life, really, really planned out, figured out. I was doing a lot of stuff in Atlanta. I was booking a lot of gigs. I was developing my own shows. I was writing. I was really, really getting out there, and COVID really kind of sucked. It literally, like, sucked the life out of me. And that ended up being like a 2 or 3 year process, 3 year thing, before I ended up really feeling good about a year and a half ago. And there were friends along the way that I had met that helped me. A girl who taught me piano right after I got, like, out of, like, the mental hospitals. She was a friend that I made at KSU, and I've kept in touch with. And she and I have had. And she's another person that I've had really, like, in-depth personal conversations with. And she's another person who has had struggles and has overcome them. And I mean, that's why I am where I am. And people will look at, like, my life, and, like, I don't have that much. And it's because, like, I really started looking at what is it that I need, what is it that I really need in life. And it's like, it is true, like, you don't know what you have until you've lost. And it's like, I have lost, earlier last year, there was a day that the last day I drove my car, I had a flat tire in Macon, and I ended up having to, like, park it on the side of the road, like, and I ended up having to like sleep on the ground. I was sleeping outside of a fire station in Macon, and a guy picked me up, and we had a conversation. I think his name was like Rhett, and he ended up being like, you're. I told him my story, and he was like, you're an awesome guy. He dropped me off at the tire store, and I just like sat there with my computer, and later that day, it's like I had some good fortune and got a new tire and got home, and it's like my car's been sitting out there, ever since. Um, but it's just, even on that night, what I did, I drove to the beach, to make one of my last like videos I made. I drove down to Savannah to like, and that's what I'm confident about, is what is, that ability. Like, since I got everything back together, you know, following like my mental health stuff, and it was just general stuff. And I mean, I think it's really important to talk about that, because I didn't have anything that was like that severe in my life, but I still got to the point that it's like I didn't know what to do with my life. I didn't know what the future was. I didn't know what I was doing. And so, but it's like, once again, once I found, but the thing that I did is I just brought everything down, and I really just thought about like, who am I, and what can I talk about, and what can and it's like, when I brought everything down to just remembering who I was, that was just when the whole like needs versus wants thing started. And it was just like, I don't need that much. There's things I want, there's stuff I want, but I don't need that much, because like, I work hard and I know who I am. And like, and it just started becoming like, when I have that notion, that instinct to like go do something that I know is right for me, I follow through with it. And that really like what makes me confident. I just, I don't care to have things. Like, I've realized that I don't care to have things. I want experiences, but I don't need that much. And it's just, and the confidence comes from realizing that it's just simply, I am enough. That's just it. That's where I've gotten to. It's just, I'm enough in any room. And it's like, but the thing is, it's hard to find that when it's not attached to something you want to do, and that's why like I'm going through this stuff right now of like, I want to be like part of this like Jay Shetty, life coaching thing. And like, I'm looking into that, and then joining like the Air Force, because I want to be part of leadership. And the thing is, the conversation I'm actually tired of having is the conversation about like, we need to get confident. Like, we need to like, because and I don't really care. Like, I don't care to have a platform, because I just think there's something, kind of, I just think there's something wrong about this. Like, you gain like this, like, you become just some kind of larger personality, and you gain followers, and then you become, someone. It's like, I want the impact, and I want like to be able to like help people, like, and, but like, my confidence just comes from like doing. My confidence comes from just like putting words to action. And so the thing like I'm really not trying to do is sit here a lot and like really like, discuss a lot about like, like, there's words like wisdom and words like sustainability and mental health, where like the words themselves don't feel like they mean anything, like, without doing something. And that's where like, that's why, I have like been looking into those like life coaching stuff, and I might want to do that, but I also just don't. The thing that's holding me up is, I'm actually like I'm confident in me. What I'm not confident is in what exactly it is that I do. Like what it is that I do in relation to other people. It's almost like I'm the kind of person when I play basketball, it's like I like to just let the game come to me, and it's like whatever I need to be in that game, I'm going to adjust to it, and that's just the way I live life. So like that's why it's like I have done all this kind of stuff and I'm confident in like my actions, but I'm not really sure like this is the thing that I'm not confident in is like what is the role that I play in life, and how do I kind of convey that to other people. And that's why I'm still not trying to rush into whatever it is that I'm doing, because if I was to say I'm a life coach, I don't think that's what I am. You know, I might be a pioneer. I might be like I might be a writer. I might be an athletic coach at some point. It's like that's still at 31 where I'm still also figuring out who I am. And like I think that that's a really important question to be able to answer. It's like when people come up to you, it's like, what do you do? I can say what I have done. You know, I'm still not really sure what it is that I go out into the world and do, and can say like this is who I am, and this is what I provide to the world on a consistent basis. You know, but like in doing so, I'm just trying to live better as who I am, as a friend and you know a neighbor and a family member, and as anything that I can be. And that sounds like all cliche generic stuff, and it's just like one that is absolutely true, and it's cliche. It's like don't be a cliche, but cliche generic stuff is not lame. I think we have this idea that doing that stuff is lame. Um, the most successful people I know just do the small stuff all the time. They just do the little things. It's like we get worried that we're being like a simp. We're giving her. It's like no. It's like that's just what I'm saying is when you find people who are confident and you believe in their message, it's like they're confident. That's a thing that I was saying to my friend who's in the military. Is I was saying to her that simple always wins, and I was saying to her that's why she was someone as opposed to me. I've always been complex and complicated and like complicated stuff, but she always kept things simple, which is why. And I said to her, that's why you were always right. You were always right because you kept things simple. Same with the guy from high school. He kept things simple, and I like complex things, complicated things. They're interesting, but simple wins. Nike, just do it. Coca-Cola, you know, these brands that like are big. It's just like they get classic Coke. It's just like they keep it simple, and people get around simple ideas. So, and that's the thing that confident people figure out. They don't figure out everything, but they figure out. It's just like that idea of like when you're writing a paper to have a good thesis statement because it simplifies what it is you're talking about. So when you find confident people in the areas you want to go grow in, and it's like I almost kind of need people to help me figure out because that's like what a relationship is. Like, you know, it's a very like Alan Watts. How can I figure out who I am if you know I don't know, you know, who I am in relation to others. But this is just like, you know, kind of like but yeah, it's like, you know, but you know, this has been like 30 minutes, and this is just my message is like is don't fear confidence. Like when you find confidence, like try to understand it, like especially if it's something that pertains to you, um, because think of confidence like a shelf. You know, when someone finds confidence at that level, they have figured something out, and it's not something we should like. And it's almost like if you're if you if you're if you fear someone because they're confident, that's actually a fear you should always. It's like there's two ways to feel fear. It's like there might be other ways, but it's like if you fear someone because they make you feel unsafe, it's like don't. It's like don't trust that. If you fear someone because they are stronger and you're like, how am I, why can't I figure this out? Learn from that. That's when you feel an uncomfortability because someone has learned something. That is the idea of you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Someone else has figured that out. Learn from that because they're living in the same time as you are. So if they have found answers, it means that everyone else can learn from that and then take that to grow ideas yourself. And it's like, you could think about, and this is why we need leadership all the time, is because we could look to leaders from history, but they were living in a different time when things were different. We always need leaders because we need leadership for every time that we're in. And what society is, it doesn't really, what we're seeing, and I'm going to try to end it like on this, is that what society has is, because everyone is blasting their message out into the world, including like this one here, we are losing the sense of like who has a grasp, like where, like who is a leader, like what is a leader in the modern day. And these are the things that, like, as someone who is interested in information and quality information, and this has been kind of the goal since I got out of like the mental hospitals, is like trying to bring about better information so that people can feel trust in like what's in, can know how to find like know what a trustworthy source is. That is, it's just like, this is why we need leaders, is like, because they are like a shelf for others to learn. And then when you find someone who is open-minded, it's when you find, it's the thing with open-minded people is, if I figured out something, I'm not like, I don't mind, like, I want as many, a competitor wants to compete. A competitor wants, like, I'm a competitor. A competitor wants a world of other competitors on his or her level, because we want other good ideas. We want to learn from other good ideas. So it doesn't bother me that someone else learns, but like, that's why, like, I believe in like information being available, because I didn't learn any of this stuff without, I learned what I learned from what is just available on like YouTube. Like, I don't have money. Like, I'm just using like YouTube and like reading stuff on Wikipedia. Like, I'm watching like Netflix because I have access to the account. I'm not using anything that I'm using Facebook. It's free. It's available. It's like I was gifted a master class, but it's like YouTube is just has just endless free. I mean, this video I'm doing is because of a video I watched on YouTube. So I didn't learn anything that with what isn't available to the world all the time. I just have had free time, and I take advantage of it. So that's my encouragement to everyone else of like, find what it is that you like and are good at, and work at it to the point that to the point that you find a confidence in something and share it. Because when you find confidence, think of it as like if life is an RPG, every time you find confidence, you kind of leveled up. And the thing about confidence is you can lose confidence. You can lose confidence. I have been confident several times and I've lost it. And that's happened enough times that I've learned how to maintain it. I've learned how to maintain it because I never want to lose confidence ever again. It's just like, it feels like a switch got turned off, and it's just like suddenly but there are other things that, like, once you get there, that like new things you realize you have to learn, and there are new people that enter that come about that are more confident. There's always more confidence. There's always a better, faster way to do things. And but like the mind of like an open mind is always going to like embrace that stuff, and it's not, and it's going to say whoever is above you or past you or more confident, and it's like you have also gotten there, in your time, and taking advantage of like the opportunities you were presented. And it's like if there's an even playing field for that for everyone, um, that's what that's what I'm in support of. It's like I don't mind what people get, because I'm playing the same game, with you guys. So with just whatever's available, so um, yeah, that's just people might be like, why are you like it's more how am I confident? It's the people I've known, it's the lessons I've listened to, and just when I have something I feel like needs to be done, I just do it. I go I listen to my instinct, and I go out, and even just locally, I take little small adventures, and I try to have fun every time I go out, and I try to have fun just with the world. I've just learned how to be I've learned how to be good on, have fun by myself. Um, and I've learned how to entertain myself, and there's it's gotten to the point that I have a lot of things going on, and life has just gotten really good, and that yeah, it's just it's all that, like, I'm not so I no I, this is okay. I'm gonna end it on this, because so you just get rid of like what you have. It's just like if it's excess. There's plenty of stuff I want. There's plenty of, and it's like this is no message on like don't ever, the message that I learned, before all of this like mental health stuff was you have to be selfish to be unselfish, and that took me forever to figure out, and you know, and it's also everything is subjective, because to some people being selfish is taking what's like available at the moment. For me, being selfish is living life the way that it's like, to me, I've felt confidence the more I've been stubborn. And some people have like put in my face, you're just stubborn, you want to do things your way. And I've just learned over time, I'm a petty like competitor. I have this other side to me that a lot of people don't realize is there. That like when I play sports, I'm petty, and like I'm very, I'm scrappy. Like I like to dive on the floor. I like to get dirty. I like to sweat. Um, I don't, and I get very competitive. And I'm very good, and I've learned how to like win psychologically. That's why like some people, it's if I have gotten if that's why with some people I've like been friends with some people, but it's like they might not realize I have that side of me, and it's like you're actually it's I distance myself from you because you're not as safe around me as you think, and because some people can go further. Some people know how to like, you know, take can deal with like my shirt says wild thing. Like, I'm not wild, but like, when I like I have a level of like, you know, competitiveness that is hidden, until like it's there. And that's actually some of the reasons I've just left jobs recently, because people put pressure on, and it's like I'm not like I don't like to play game like I play games, but I'm petty as shit when I really like want to play, when I really like play for real. Like I play like, and it's just it's not good if it's not like a sport event. So um, but like I personally feel better and feel calmer myself when I go there and I do that kind of stuff. And this video turned into a 40-minute video. I wasn't, but this was just why am I confident, and how am I confident, and it's just learning to stay. It's just the cliche simple thing, just staying true to who I am, learning over time, just who am I, and always when given two options, given multiple options, is figuring out which option feels like the one that I will will feel good about. Um, if it's driving to Savannah in one day to take videos to edit, it's like some people might be like, "That's," but I'm like, it's crazy that other people wouldn't do if you had a whole day and that was available. Like to me, it's like I'm at a point where it's like, it's crazy to me to not take that chance if I have it. But then it's also like, but that's also, if there are other like responsibilities in life, it's like be good to like the responsibilities like you have, because that's also like basically cliche kind of stuff. So that's just like this video is like why and how am I confident, having nothing, and it's just being true to who I am. All right, thanks.